Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Avalanche's price chart in a minute. But before we get into that, in case you are not active on Twitter, recently we actually got some very important news that, in my view at least, matters quite a bit. And in case you don't know, Bitwise is right now trying to launch the first United States crypto ETF. This is important, pay attention please, that pays a staking rewards. And this time they picked AVAX for it, and that alone, in my view, changed a lot of things for proof of stakes assets. Because two very important points. Number one, you see, up until now, United States funds couldn't really offer staking rewards because of tax and regulatory headaches, which were like big issues. Now, Bitwise finally pushed a filing that actually does include a staking, and if they get approved, okay, this is going to become a very important precedent, and after that, you can definitely bet that other POS ETFs, like for example Solana, ADA, Atom, maybe Polygon, maybe some other projects, they will probably try to follow the same path. And again, since Bitwise hopefully is going to manage to pull it off, for the other projects, it's actually going to be like much easier to launch an ETF that pays a staking reward, which is awesome. Second important point, you see, the ETF actually can stake up to 70% of all the AVAX that it holds, and that means two very important things at the same time. Number one, they will need to buy a lot of AVAX from the open market, hopefully, if the fund is going to attract serious capital. Point number two, because of this, most of those coins are going to be locked in staking, which cuts down liquid supply. And well, when you combine these two things, meaning number one, fresh demand, number two, plus reduced supply, well, okay, you immediately get a setup that usually strengthens the asset over time. And of course, nothing is guaranteed, but in my view, structurally, this is actually like a healthier model than just a simple price only ETF. So overall, I think this is some big news for AVAX, and I don't really think a whole lot of people are going to pay attention to these types of news, especially because right now in the whole crypto market, we are witnessing some decent moves on the downside. So I don't really feel like anybody is in the mood for checking these types of news and events. But trust me, if you want to make a good amount of money when we are actually having some big moves on the downside, you should check out the news and do your research about your favorite projects and see, do you actually have a solid project with good fundamentals or not? If you have it, then okay, right around the lows, naturally for you in the mid to long term, should be a great buy opportunity. So as a conclusion for this part, I think this filing is actually kind of a big step because it brings the economics of proof of stake into a regulated ETF structure. And for Avalanche, okay, it definitely, in my view, adds a new source of demand. Hopefully, it is going to reduce the tradable supply, and also hopefully it is going to make AVAX like much easier for institutions to hold, which overall I think in the long term will actually lead to price appreciation for the token. And that, my friends, is why I am buying right around the lows quite a lot. Okay, I don't really care if you end up going maybe even a bit lower. Generally, these prices, in my view, are great for buying, again, the projects with solid fundamentals. And again, I fully believe that AVAX is absolutely 100% one of those projects. Now, in terms of fundamentals, well, okay, we just had great news. What about technical analysis and especially Elliott waves in the short term? Let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. Okay, here we are. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about AVAX, we were, I think, right around this important height. And the idea was that what we want to see in here is a bit of consolidation, followed by yet another move on the upside in order for us to maybe be a bit bullish. But we said, look, right around the highs is not really a buying opportunity because after this small move up in the short term, we should probably expect a bit of a move on the downside. And we did get our move down, but unfortunately, if I just hide everything, excuse me, there we go. As you can see, in AVAX, in this face down, we actually took the lowest low down here, about $12.6 by like a very small margin, but we definitely took the lows nonetheless. And in here, once more, I just bought a whole lot more Avalanche, and I am prepared to just buy more and more in case we end up having maybe like another even 20% move on the downside. Why is that? Because you see, in AVAX, this area right in here, you can technically say maybe it is going to act as like a resistance, but really that's not actually the point. You see, in here, I don't really believe that in Avalanche we are having a whole lot of strong support until this one in here about 10.3 to about $11.3. And I do think if we end up having another move on the downside, right in here, we are going to finish our whole move down and get a very strong bounce. So generally, I think these are actually the prices that are very, very, in my view, close to our final low. That's why I am a big buy, because in terms of overall structures, I'm actually quite bullish in Avalanche. And I know saying that I'm bullish when we are having some massive moves on the downside might sound a little bit stupid, but trust me, these are actually the buy opportunities that you should take advantage of. And in my view, in the mid to long term in AVAX, off of the lowest line here about $8, we have completed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulse on the upside, followed by a correction down. And our correction, I think, can be a WXY in form of a flat and a zigzag. And let's zoom in more. Okay, here is an ABC flat into our wave W, followed by ABC up into wave X, and this is probably yet another ABC zigzag into our wave Y. And if I just go around here, there we go. You see, in an ABC zigzag, we're gonna have sub waves like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. Excuse me, what just happened? Into our A leg. There we go, followed by a correction up into wave B, maybe ABC, maybe WXY, maybe even a triangle, doesn't really matter, and then another 5 wave down into C. And if I just go on the live chart, okay, let's zoom in more. There we go. So what's happening in here? As you can see, I think from this high after our wave X ended, we do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I would say for that matter, a rather clear one, followed by WXY, probably, yes, in form of a double zigzag up into wave B. And then this is most likely a 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do believe that the current move down that in Avalanche we are having, it's probably going to be into this wave 5, which is going to complete the subwaves for this ABC. And on a higher degree, this is going to complete the subwaves for this beautiful WXY, starting from the highs in here about, let's say, $55, $60. And then I'm really hoping that we are going to have another big move up, since in my view, this is still going to be 5 up into, let's say, even like according to the worst case scenario, into an A leg, followed by a correction for wave B. And well, what's next? You know it, in the mid to long term, hopefully we are going to have another move into wave C, and the bare minimum target I do think is going to be taking the previous high in here about, let's say, $65. But I think we can actually go quite a bit higher than that, maybe even $80 to $90. AVAX is not really going to be that unrealistic. So if you want to buy Avalanche right around the lows, you can even, according to the worst case possibility, have like a risk to reward ratio, I believe bare minimum about 1 to 8, which is definitely not that bad. If you invest like this over a long period of time, trust me, overall, you are going to end up making quite a good bit of money, as long as the projects that you are investing in are actually decent ones that do really have some good fundamentals. Now, having said all that, let's go on the live chart and see what is going on in here. So you see, in terms of Elios waves, we just said if you want to be bullish on any chart, you have to be able to find off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. This specific structure is called an impulse. Rules for this are: we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you know it, we're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. There we go. And for our wave 2 and 4, we can consider different possibilities. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. Let's say maybe ABC into 4, and okay, possibly like a WXY into our wave 2. There we go. Now, here is what's going on in my mind. I think my base case should be maybe having like one more move down in Avalanche in order to get to here. But in case that I am wrong, well, okay, the real question is this: at what point should I actually flip bullish in Avalanche and call this point our final low with a good bit of confidence? I think if we end up having from the current point a very strong bounce in form of a 1 2 3 4 5 in order to at least I would say reclaim this level and maybe even get back above the higher band of it, about let's say $19.2, although yet maybe like for a very brief period of time. Okay, that can be awesome, and at that point I might actually flip bullish in Avalanche. But right in here, trust me, it's not really going to be a buy opportunity, because after a 5 wave up, again, like we said it also at the beginning of the video, we should expect a bit of a move on the downside. And if we see in here a very slow and choppy move down, which you guessed it, it's actually a very important characteristic of a correction structure, you know what, fair enough, this is a good sign, hopefully indicating that we are having 5 up into a wave 1, correction for wave 2, and the next move is going to be a big one up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. If I see a 1-2 structure here, I'm going to flip bullish. As long as I'm not seeing that, okay, my base case is having maybe another small move down. So if it happens, I'm not going to be surprised at all. I'm going to be fully ready for it, and trust me, I am going to buy a lot of Avalanche around the lows. If it doesn't happen, and from here on the other hand we're going to get a massive bounce, then okay, I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm happy with what I have already, and I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in AVAX's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.